Chat, here we go. We have a best of 7 between two players who played well in their respective salt mines, but there was no crossover in the Salt Mine 3. And Nass, who's been more than willing to grind away, will be accepting what feels like an away server for him, although Diaz maybe decided he didn't like the server or is DCing. It's hard to say. We had to get Nass. Oh, wait, I do have the ability to pause. Wait, I can pause. I thought I had to create the server to pause. Turns out I can. Nass created the server for us, so I thought for a second that we were going to be in trouble. It looks like Diaz is lagging out, maybe. I'll ask him on Steam. Wait, did you respond in? Ready? Want to just restart? I think we just restart, right? Diaz got the first possession. He kind of took a shot that was saved. It was just going to counter. I don't know. It wasn't like... Okay, we're just going to restart. Admin decision. And I actually can do it. Chat, here we go. We start again in Diaz versus Nass. We've had a bit of trouble getting this one going, and this restart definitely favors Diaz, who DC'd before any goals were scored at the start of the match. But it's a $150 show match sponsored by Vacanus, a huge supporter of the 1v1 scene. And this is the first time we're seeing a crossover. Not the first time, I should say. Maybe the second time we're seeing a crossover of Salt Mine players since it started. We saw Nass versus Daniel, the two winners of Salt Mine Stage 2. And now Diaz, a player who played well in the Salt Mine final over in North America, will be playing against Nass in a best of 7 for $150. Nass, I think, is the only guy I've seen playing crossovers, because not only did he play Daniel, he also played Wavy and Zapatos, I think, but that was around Stage 1, either after Stage 1 or before Stage 1. But one thing that Nass has been big about coming into Salt Mine and today is he's just a grinder. He's just been wanting to play games, and I was really excited. I think I even sent him a message telling him that I was excited to see him win Salt Mine Stage 2, because it's great to see somebody who's putting in so much work, who is such a big part of the show match scene, find the success that Nass has. And he followed up that Salt Mine Stage 2 win with the Salt Mine final win, and won the biggest tournament we've seen maybe in 1v1 ever. The only reason why you consider it not to be is because it wasn't cross-region. You know, I think that's the big downside of the Nass victories, but he played in the toughest region, and he won 2 out of the 3 biggest tournaments. So you got to give him props for that. And he's going up against Diaz, who has been very much on the rise. It seems like we have caught him on an upswing with the Salt Mine games, and who knows where it can end. Maybe it's going to continue to rise to the absolute very top. For now, he finds himself down. You might be wondering, Nass from Morocco playing from Belgium and Diaz from Brazil. How is this game being played? Well, they're playing on USC servers. We have 96 ping for Nass. Got him a green server. Diaz playing on 116, which is definitely worse than what Nass is dealing with, but Diaz is a little bit more used to it. He played all through the Salt Mine on similar ping. Actually, in Salt Mine, he got maybe even under 100 ping. So this might be one of his worst servers, but he's still a lot more used to this playing on USCs than I think Nass is playing on 100. So it's fairly equal as any of these matches can be. And we've got a nice best of 7 decided by Nass and Diaz as they play for the $150 donated by Vacanus at the start of the stream. Nass with a reset dribble gets Diaz moving on the fake and is able to let the ball bounce in for the finish. A lot of people have wondered about Nass, who is under 18, I believe, and is going to be playing on Matey in the North American region this upcoming split. And my understanding is that he will be flying out for regionals. I want to say that was confirmed by the coach. And so I know a lot of people are probably wondering, when is Nass going to start playing on USC's ping? When is he going to stop needing to, find the perfect server? And it sounds like probably only during the RLCS weekends for North America will Nass have that convenience. Otherwise, that's a nice recovery. Did he get a reset off the ceiling and use that flip to get a surprise recovery on Diaz? I don't know how much of it's going to show on the replay. But Diaz certainly was not expecting Nass to get back and had committed hard. And now finds himself down 2. Diaz beat to the ball as Nass couldn't get anything going out of that back corner. Diaz running low on boost, decides to just go for a testing shot to the top right. Nass looking like signs of dark up there in that corner as he dashed his way around, but he wasn't able to get a significant finish and gonna get air dribble bumped on the counterattack. We've seen Dark use those dashes to long shots. In this case, Nass used it to control the possession into a Musty that didn't have the strength it needed. Nass from the back left corner at ceiling heights. Diaz kind of threatened that he was going to go to the ceiling to maybe challenge. Ultimately decided to head back down to the ground. And gave a ton of space to Nass. Could not stop him this time on the flick. Are they going to fly him also for regional qualifiers or only the main events? You know, that's a good question. I assume they're just going to fly him out for everything he has to play in RLCS, but I don't know the deep answers. Diaz, nice reset placement top left. Nass was showing that and essentially threatening Diaz to go there because of his late swing into the corner boost. Nass bumping Diaz on the kickoff. Diaz seems like he'll ultimately have to leave here. It's just a matter of when, and it looks like just in time might be the answer. Or no, not just in time. Nass does get the power shot. Diaz correctly heading straight back to net. That ball was just high enough that he was not going to be able to contend with Nass if Nass wanted to get to the ball. So he immediately ran away. Nass double resets. Was never really targeting the net with this one. But isn't able to maintain possession like I'm sure he was trying to do. Diaz forcing a save off the back wall. Nass quick recovery. Diaz didn't get out behind the ball clean. He just barely got around it. Which means soft touches and a slow play. One that Nass can read and dive on for an 8-5 lead. Diaz now attacking from the full field to ceiling height. Nass just waiting on the ground, but ultimately, despite the fact that Diaz got the reset, you need to position around the ball in a way that threatens a change of trajectory, and if you don't do that, it's going to be an easy save, and it was for Nass. Diaz wants to go next. Nass will take game number 1 of a best of 7. Game number 2. Diaz and Nass. Wall to air dribble for Diaz to start this game. Did Nass just flip back onto the back wall? Did he fake that he was jumping off for a challenge, then flipped himself back onto the wall to try and bait the shot out of Diaz? I have to go back again, watch it from Nass's perspective, but he might have gotten Diaz to do that. Ultimately got his save. Now Diaz still on offense. His hook shots guided to the back wall. Nass just looking to protect this possession, and he will maintain it despite Diaz getting a touch. Has to turn back in field as he wanted to get a smooth carry into the back corner. I said he maintained possession, but he didn't. Diaz erases it by just chasing down the ball, forcing that 50 pinch to stay near that back corner. Thank you to the many brand new primes. There, Boom Shakalaka named the prime for 24 months. And Yams 00, the tier 1 for 5 months. Thanks for putting me into the anti-ad game, Feer _RL. It's a nice way to get around it. Nass on the board. My understanding is Diaz is moving to NA, by the way. But that is just because I want to say I've heard that Diaz had wanted to go to NA for a bit. I don't have any real information on that other than just contextually. I thought I remember Diaz saying he wanted to move to NA, so I don't know why he wouldn't just move when he's playing in NA. Diaz. Air dribble reset. Wave dash into the top left. Fakes all the way along this dribble. You see Nass deciding not to go meet Diaz, but has to start moving to the right side of the net there as that wave dash lands, because it could turn into that wave dash shot into the top right. Instead, Diaz uses that as a fake, then gets up around the ball and puts it back the other way after baiting Nass out of position. A few different times, Diaz has tried to just use speed to test Nass, and Nass has done a good job getting himself out of those situations quickly, not allowing Diaz to have extended possessions. But Diaz is going to use speed to success this time, as Nass thought he could turn in field and maybe surprised, because I do think he could have very easily retreated off this ball. He could have gone back to net and made an easy save on that play, but he thought, why not shake it up a bit, try and surprise Diaz, but surprise Diaz he did not. Diaz heading to his back corner. Nass looking to close the distance between them two. Diaz going to use Nass's setup off the wall, but not to much success. Close shadow is a challenge and a goal for Diaz. Nass, high bounce. You see those first couple bounces as he tried to collect the dribble are far off of his car. That suggests that if he wants to actually maintain a dribble, he'll have to take a few more touches to kill the bounce. I think that makes it easier for Diaz to read as he just looks to take it away. Nass actually just dribbles to the back wall and looks for a tight angle double. He pre-jumps this save and prevents the counterattack as he starts another wall to air dribble, not going all the way to ceiling height. He sees Diaz on the sidewall prepping to make a challenge there, so he takes a soft dribble instead. Allows him to stay in control and uncontested for a bit longer, but Diaz does ultimately get the save, or get the takeaway, and scores on the opposite end. So 5-1, Diaz having to forfeit in order to get out of game number one, which was starting to turn into a rout. Now he has turned it right back around in the first 3 minutes of this game. Nass to ceiling height. Diaz pre-jumped him and might have gotten enough on that save to force the bounce high. Nass couldn't keep it down as it went over the backboard. What a smooth catch from Nass. This air dribble will be a goal. After bumping Diaz, needs to get a soft touch to control the dribble. And he gets it with ease. Diaz sticking around because there was a double jump shot that he didn't need any boost with if Nass had gone to the corner. Nass correctly recognizing that he did not have that luxury, had to just turn in net, so he played on zero. As both these guys reset now. Nass, can he get the shot off the wall? He can. He's speedy. And he's going to find his opportunity. Diaz thought he could get away with taking the ball to the back corner to have possession and boost. Nass reads that corner roll and positions himself to win the 50 out in front of the net. Now again, he's going to bait Diaz into a challenge. It was tough. Diaz got bounced into the corner and was going to either need to back away and deal with a deadly dribble from Nass, or turn and challenge right away, something that Nass was able to read. Direct kickoff goal for Nass, and now it's tied. This game almost feels like a must-win for Diaz after game number one was getting away from him. seemed like he had the bounce back, but if this game ends in a Nass win as well, could be a tough 7-game series for Diaz. I think somebody asked, is Diaz on the team? He is. This W7M is the team that he's on for RLCS. Forgetting what the full name is. Nass, air triple 50. Diaz showing a ton of respect as Nass getting multiple resets before ultimately dunking in. I think he missed on the last one, but Diaz, what speed. Somehow able to sneak it in near post. I think he had a quick dash on this wall. I want to watch again. Man, it seems like he... Am I crazy there, or did he have a burst of speed, but I don't see any jump? Diaz tossing another testing shot on target, something he's done a lot. He trusts in his ability to eventually get the goal, but Nass has proven to be a solid defender. Crucial 30 seconds. Diaz going to try and carry this all the way to the net, and he can! Nass didn't have the boost left over. Maybe 40 boost to work with. It seemed like he could have played quicker, but he turned infield. He thought Diaz was going to the ground. You could see Diaz, an option for him was to, get a reset, play it off the bounce, let it fall. And that was the option that Nass thought he was going for. That slight turn in field was enough to get him beat out. Now, Diaz needs to hold on. Nass just gifted him one, though, so shouldn't be too hard to hold on. 8-6, 7 seconds. It's not over for Nass necessarily, but very likely to be a tie game, or a tie match, I should say, as this game will go to Diaz. And one last opportunity for him. That's a nice flick. Saucy one to end it, as Diaz makes it 1-1 in the best of 7. $150 on the line, by the way. Game number 3. Diaz and Nass. Nass flipping in front of the ball. Not to actually make a play on the ball, but to cut off all of the positions that Diaz would have to take in order to take a shot. Basically forcing him to reverse and wasting the one moment where he was going to be able to shoot. Diaz not able to follow it up. Now this touch way wide of the nets. Nass able to let it fall off the backboard and into a dribble. And he will flick into the top left. Kickoff win for Diaz. He wanted a doink touch directly on target, and I think it was possible, but he got one slightly off, and because of that, he was not able to follow it up. Nass able to return to the play, and a demo means a second goal. Is Diaz in Europe? No. We mentioned it before, but for anyone just joining, these guys playing on US East. 108 ping for Nass now, and actually 92 ping for Diaz, which is interesting because I think it was the opposite in the first game on this same server. It was a slight ping advantage to Nass. So it seems like we have found the perfect in-between for these guys, as Diaz again tries to catch Nass out of position with the power shot. Diaz now can get the same kind of action here. It should be much easier to control this breakaway on target. Diaz, kickoff attempt, and it's a tie game. New part, thank you for the tier 1 for 6 months. 6 months of tier 1 in. Appreciate that. Diaz, another kickoff goal. Takes the lead. Nass Felt like he thought he did enough here on the wave dash. He needed an immediate jump. I guess he was just out of position right away. Matched wave dash kickoffs. Diaz the one to push it into the orange half. Nass gonna have to make a play off 20 boost, and he thought he was gonna go for a low 50. He backed off big time, hoping that Diaz was gonna be rolling him the ball. But instead, Diaz was fake challenging. And then just the cadence of the challenge was off. Then Nass decided to rejoin the play and ended up kind of getting baited into the same play he was trying to set up, which was, a chip past Diaz. Diaz did that with his reverse backflip, and he's got a 4-2 lead. Oh, wow. He was hiding behind the ball. Turns out he was challenging. As he takes this one away. Corner pinch to set up a dribble and a power shot to counteract the pre-jump, and Diaz will be getting a 5th goal. So often from these positions, players like to start wall to air dribbles, or I should say ground to air dribbles off the bounce. It's not a wall. And Nass was getting up there to stop it. So Diaz, in order to counter that, just goes for an immediate power shot around the pre-jump. And he knows that as long as he gets it around, he doesn't need to put it on target, because Nass will be completely out of position, floating in the air on the wrong side of the field. And he can just collect the bounce, turn it in for a goal with nobody there to stop him. Diaz flick to the top right. Makes it 6-2. Nass wants a pause. I have to pause with my... Pause, change server. Okay, 6-2 at 2:30. We want a new server. Okay, we are back in a new server. Hopefully one that's a bit better. And we are halfway through game number 3. Diaz is currently in the lead 6-2. Nass was having a tough time on the previous server, but we'll be able to get him into hopefully a better one. The last one was spiking. A lot of people will talk about players and their ping in various servers, usually referring to, oh, this ping's higher, this ping's lower. It seems to be more important to the players that the ping is steady. I think that players would take 105, that never moves from 105 over, say, maybe even a 90 server that bounces up, to 115 and back down. So we'll see if it's an improvement or if it will matter here in this game number 3, as Diaz air dribble bump will continue his scoring run in between servers. I've admin because I'm spectator. Yeah, I know you guys were saying that, but I think I've done it before where I've joined someone else's match that they created when they're leader and I don't have admin. So I don't know if they changed that or if I'm just maybe misremembering what happened that resulted in me not having it in that lobby. Nass. Oh my goodness, he's not going to get a goal here. He was at 0 boost. It seemed free, but Diaz recovers, gets back, pops it over the top of the net, and takes a long shot, and Nass has had enough. He's calling it here as Diaz makes it a 6-goal lead with 1:20 left to go. And takes a 2-1 lead in the best of 7. Game number 4. Diaz and Nass. Nass was able to win game 1, but it's been a swing back in Diaz's favor for the last 2, and he was able to make a spectacular late save in order to finalize game number 3, but it's not going to happen at the start of game 4. Yeah, Psyonix has said late January it's starting, but won't there be qualifiers? Well, it's like the first regional in late January. I don't know. Is it going to be league play? Is it just going to be gauntlet format where they just rank everybody and one by one each team plays each other? Whoever survives at the top wins RLCS. All of these things, none of us know. Nass forced to back off with no boost, so Diaz will take to the skies as a counter, and the fake works effectively. Diaz on the right side of the ball, threatening a touch to send it back at any moment. Nass kind of covers all those angles, and once Diaz sees that to be the case. He decides not to use the flip. Nass wants top left. Couldn't quite place it. So now we'll be forced to play defense quickly. He is going to swing into net, and Diaz, ooh, could have had the double. We watched that all from Nass's perspective, which was going to be a big mistake if Diaz did manage to get his reset double. Nass really testing Diaz, saying, I don't think you can hit that. I'm not covering that because I'm betting you'll miss, and he was right. A risky bet to take at this level. Diaz able to evade the bump as he collects the ball at midfield. Uses the reset to stop the fall of the ball. A move that can work on occasion when you're able to surprise a diving defender, but a defender that's shadowing and just reacting to your play has a somewhat of an easy time because the ball speed is very low on a play like that. Nass, unfortunate that that low 50 didn't find its way into the net. He is able to guide it across. Now with 31 boost, will start a dribble of his own. Got faked by Diaz at the midfield again. Diaz has been doing enough to get in Nass's head when he gets those dribbles started. That is preventing Diaz from having to play against a dribble late in his half. That's when it gets really dangerous, when those flicks could score at any moment. Diaz, speedy in the midfield. Just like the many South American dominant 1v1ers that came before him. Relentless on the ball. And has been able to tie up this game. Diaz dunked as he tries to rush to the back corner boost. Can't get there, but does get to the other one in time. Actually able to jump and wave dash facing back towards his net in order to make a play on the ball. It's going to be the opposite situation here now. Nass evades. Oh my goodness. What was that? Did they pull shot that? Why was that the strongest touch I've ever seen in my life? That was boomer mode for Nass for some reason. It was off target. And now Diaz allowed to get a dribble. And he'll just put a bunch of power on a flick. It actually almost worked. Nass guides it into the crossbar. And now Nass, 50 so strong, he wins the ball and forces Diaz backwards. Diaz picks up the 100. Little camera check to see if Nass is leaving. And Nass is indeed leaving. So it will be a speedy bounce dribble. One that I think got out of Diaz's hands a little bit. I don't think he wants to put on such a strong dribble that he can't really stick with it. He's been able to maintain his possession. Now another air dribble, late touch on the goal line, has Nass making a bad save, and the follow-up from Diaz is the lead. Yo, Buffalo, thank you for the tier 1 for 11 months. Alien, please indeed. Diaz, kickoff win to extend it. It was the kickoff game that was the icing on the cake for game number 3, I believe, when he was able to fully put Nass away. Diaz has the reset, tries to go top shelf. Nass able to save it. Diaz again creative with these boost grabs in the corner. Nass is doing his best to protect them. He's trying to make it a get demoed at all costs if you try and grab that boost, but Diaz is working out ways to snag the hitbox of the boost without getting destroyed. Now Diaz will reset into the back left corner. Nass powering into the side wall actually results in Diaz just chipping it immediately. He almost got it to net in time. We saw him have a spectacular counter earlier to Nass's pre-jump. This time around, though, it wasn't a pre-jump. Nass was on the ground. Just because he's driving quickly at the side wall doesn't mean he can't turn around at the moment that Diaz looks to make his power shot. Now Nass, a bump off the kickoff. Trying to gain a possession. Diaz couldn't track him down, and Diaz has pre-jumped here to meet Nass. Stops the air dribble. Neither one of these guys should have very much boost. Diaz has a little bit to work with, though. Wave dashes his way in front of Nass in order to get pool shot into the ball. Now, looking to make something happen on the goal line. Mostly just doesn't want to get scored on in the counterattack. Defensive shadow. He's going to allow Nass to get into an air dribble bump. And this is his reward for being afraid to challenge in the final moments. That ball on the front of Nass's car was not one that I think Nass would be able to easily protect. Not until Diaz allowed him to get all the way to the net and set up the air dribble bump. Now it's a tie game. Nass might even be able to score this without overtime. The angle off the wall is in. Nass will tie the series. And he does so at 0 seconds with a kickoff win. A very favorable bounce out of the corner. Diaz recovery. Not enough despite some spectacular recoveries he's made so far in the series. We have just a best of 3 remaining. Game 5. But for those of you who watch a lot of 1v1s on the channel, a reminder that this is not the deciding game. It's a $150 best of 7 they're playing today. So a couple more wins for either one of these guys is what they'll need to walk away just a little bit richer. It's going to be Diaz at the start of this game. An air dribble for the first goal. Nass forced to back off on the kickoff, and Diaz is just going to get enough power to convert immediately. Another kickoff that could favor Diaz. We just got done on YouTube. Oh, is it going to be a psycho the whole field? It's on target, I think. No, that's actually off wide anyways. But Nass would have had to save no matter what. Nass bumped off his reset. Diaz can't get the power. Gets demoed as he looks to line up his power shot to convert on a goal. Instead, he gets eliminated, and now Nass the fake! Oh, the fake! Diaz goes flying by. He swung out into the far corner for boost and wave dashes his way right past the ball. Nass, wise to go for that fake, seeing a recovery from Diaz that was going to have to be quick as he decided to completely leave the play and return it. Very likely that a player doing that overshoots their defensive positioning, and Nass makes sure of it with the fake. Nass, a flick into the top shelf. And it's going to be a tie game. Nass, bump on Diaz. Able to make it back as he's working on 18 boost. Diaz connects with a bump on the player and the ball, and it will be a goal. It looks like the the stream is having a really tough time, but for those of you on YouTube watching it back, you're getting the full experience. Nass air dribble bump, not going to connect as Diaz able to pop a ball from the corner and make it 4-2. Kickoff win for Nass as he goes to ceiling height. Diaz out to challenge right away. Nass thought maybe he was turning to die for a demo. He's not going to have any boost to work with. Didn't have time to go and grab his own corner. Forced the shadow. Gets the backflip challenge. Diaz returns with a bump and not a demo because it's just a bump. Nass able to stay in control, and it will be a goal for him. Yeah, I think you got to refresh now if you don't want to delay. It looks like we're back, but you will likely have to refresh. I had this issue a long time ago. I wonder if it's time to reach out to my internet provider again, because they came and fixed it last time I feel like it would do similar things where it would drop out for a bit. This was many years ago, but maybe it needs a tune-up. Nass is front flip. Not going to be juicy enough to stop Diaz. And it seemed like Diaz was going to be out of position if that ball had just been taken directly across the field. But Nass is the one to keep it in the orange half, and he will not be able to get this backflip challenge. So Diaz will make it 5-3. Diaz demoed, and Nass has space, but not going to be able to use that timing when he does not get that first chip. Diaz recognizes that and dives, but actually might work out. Diaz not able to get back. Perfect placement from Nass. Sometimes that's the way it goes. It was a definite mistake from Nass when he wasn't able to connect on that first touch as the ball bounced, but it ended up resulting in Diaz diving in a play that he would otherwise never dive for, and brought him out of position. Air dribble bump, not going to connect. Nass around it, and now Nass to himself off the ceiling, has the reset, wants the bump. Diaz able to get the save as well. So the air dribble bumps on both sides, not connecting in the last minute or so. Diaz wave dashing out to the ball, did not get the ball or Nass. I think he was hoping for either, and I think he actually could have gotten the demo, but he bailed out of it early. Yeah, oh, maybe, I think it was actually Nass. I'm going to credit Nass. Take it back. He wanted the demo, but Nass actually hit the brakes to let Diaz go flying by. That was why Nass was able to follow it up. 5-5 in a pivotal game 5. Nass will take the lead with just over a minute left to go. Diaz brings what could have been a high bounce to a complete stop. You see Nass, he was prepping up the side wall in case Diaz wanted to dribble, and he saw Diaz was going to play it on the ground instead, and maybe recovering a bit late, a position that he'd probably rather not play from on a ground dribble. But the meta of ones these days have forced players to prepare for the high air dribbles early. Diaz mixing it up, keeping it fresh, and being rewarded as he's able to follow up with a kickoff goal. The Rocket League 1v1 two-pointer. The open field goal, followed by an immediate kickoff, can turn that 1-goal deficit into a lead with a minute left to go. It's Diaz popping off! Nass able to get a touch, but not enough to stop Diaz, who stays just about ceiling height, it seems, all the way across the field before the finish. And Nass actually made the placement look even better. It wasn't quite in the top right, but Nass will send it there. And now he's got 45 seconds to make up a 2-goal deficit. This kickoff win will be the start. Diaz recognizing that Nass is going to have a hard time collecting the ball quickly when he has to go back into the orange half to do so, and is able to close that distance and challenge him before he really got anything going. Now Nass, a solid save. No longer can he take his sweet time setting up offense. He's got to go straight down the field, and Diaz recognizing that as well, cutting off any early opportunities and likely securing his game win by doing so. Nass will pinch this across the field, and it'll be a stylish finish for Diaz. Whatever he wants to give the fans. It's going to be a double reset bump, but Nass sends it to the ground as Diaz is on match point. Game number 6. Diaz looking to try and close out Nass in game 6. $150 on the line. Nass wants to bounce back. Diaz with a demo and the first goal. Nass never standing a chance on that respawn. Nass soft touch. And then catching it with the wave dash to give it a bit of an extra pop. Not enough to really get around Diaz. As Diaz, man, I'm not sure why he went for the strongest touch he could get out of the corner there. Seemed like it would be guaranteed handing possession away and allowing Nass control when he could have otherwise maybe extended that possession instead. It'll be a Nass goal shortly after that handoff. Diaz pops this up high. Nass is up there prepared for it, but an easy target as he lands on the ground. Gets demo. Diaz actually a soft touch. He is unable to follow up for a goal. So Nass recovered and is into play. This flick is on target. And Diaz was there to make sure, just in case it wasn't. Diaz into the crossbar. Has to recover to beat Nass to the counterattack shot, and he does. He's done this a few times where he wins the race to the boost. Single jumps either to just turn around or to even dodge a demo, and then dashing into the corner to start his movement the other way after getting the 100. And ultimately he converts this one for an air dribble into a goal. Nass has thought multiple times about an early challenge, but more times than not backing out of it and looking to return to the ground to make his defensive play. Nass sending Diaz to the back wall as he's not able to get a boost off the kickoff. Oftentimes players will do that, buy themselves a bit of time, but not often are they able to keep that possession going. Diaz from the back wall again. Nass from the midfield. Diaz decides not to go in the air, instead go for the power shot upon landing. Nass able to intercept it, and he misses the midfield boost. There's absolutely no reason to do that, and he's forced back into net because of it. There's another one of his single jumps into the boost grab and dashing in the corner to look and try and rejoin the play. He has been able to keep himself in this one. That was probably not what he wanted. It's another one of his single jump dashes, but misjudged whether or not he was getting chased down for a demo. I mean, Nass was already past him. And I think really the only reason why you'd be doing that is if you thought Nass was behind you, about to run into you. Nass can't get back to this one, but does shadow and make the save. And a flick the other way. Diaz having a tough time matching Nass on these shadows. It's a few different times those dribbles have been converted. This direct kickoff win denied this time, but it's one that Diaz has gotten quite a few goals off of. Nass the other way. Seems like he's going to just try and protect the ball, but he couldn't get around it to stop Diaz, and the counterattack should be a goal. Diaz, wall to air dribble, double resets, 50, no, it's a fake, but it works out all the same. In fact, it's not even going to need an additional touch. Nass thought about ceiling challenge, decided to go down low, and could not get the read on the fake. Diaz was there to protect the ball too, in case Nass did make connection. Multi-purposed are those fakes. They can turn out to just be 50s. As Nass sets up his flick. Diaz gets back to make the save. It seemed like there was not space to get down to the ground and back up. And yeah, apparently there was. Nass couldn't get it past him, and does this time though. The reset over the top of the in and out save. And a 5-4 lead for Diaz. Getting slightly chipped at. Diaz re-extends it. A kick-out possession in his favor. Nass able to get the 100 and possession. Diaz pre-jumping. Nass responds to that by going low 50. That was an interesting pre-flip into the corner to land exactly where he needed to be on the wall. And Diaz is just going to dive. Diaz up 2 with a minute left to go. One thing has been clear. He wants to be involved in the play. He does not like shadowing. Doesn't seem to be performing as well when he does. But man, did that seem like a gung-ho challenge. If Nass was going to try and go for a soft touch and control the ball on top of his car, then Diaz might have, surprised him and taken it from him. But any touch with any sort of power like Nass had makes Diaz look silly. Diaz delaying the dribble. He can do that. He has the advantage now. He can force Nass to come out to him. And Nass does do so. Creeps out a little bit. Gets Diaz to start the dribble, but then can't make the effective save. Nass needs to control every possession from here on out. And what happened here? Diaz didn't seem like he should have had a free opportunity. I want to watch Nass POV. Nass went to the midfield and then he just couldn't get back in time. He thought that he'd be able to do so. He really needed to just rush back to the ball. Maybe he was thinking it's a bit more of an all-in play to go grab boost. Like he knows he needs a boost to get 2 goals in 10 seconds or whatever he needed. Oh, Diaz seemed like he made a mistake and left the net open, and yet he just baited Nass into a shot right into his car. And now an air dribble reset. Musty to finish. It'll be Diaz who takes the $150, barring a crazy 4 straight goals for Nass, which I don't think is possible. Diaz wins the best of 7, 4-2, and is $150 richer.